What's going on, everybody? We're back with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. The big boss Ben's out today. He's out for the next 3 days.
Hooray.
So I will be our host. I'm stoked to be here. It's Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. And I mean, we've got a lot on tap tonight. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. So we got Dynamite. We've got some WWE news we're going to talk about, but before we get to that, I'm riding with, you can see him in the middle of the screen, Soul. How have you been, host of the Soul Sessions? It's been a while since we've been on a broadcast together. I think we did maybe 1 or 2 last week, but
the times are changing, time of the old guard. You know, I've been reading some of the comments about these daily broadcasts when I appear on, and they're always the best ones, but people saying I'm looking like Carlito.
Well,
and, you know, I mean, hey, might as well just do the part, eh? You know,
fully embrace it.
Got the apple, and he's cool.
Well,
that is huge. I did not see that coming, but I love it. Anthony, how are you, my friend from Philly? Head of opinions. I almost said head of reviewing. That would be cool.
Yeah,
he's not here. Head of opinions. Anthony Ricciardi, how have you been?
I'm really running the marathon on here. I think I know I'm definitely doing the Mar, and then I think I don't know if I'm doing Friday, but I know the weekend I'm not.
Is there something I don't know? Are you trying to catch me these days? I'm kidding.
I don't think so.
No. But either way, let's get into it. First topic of the day, and it's a good one. The WWE's headed to Puerto Rico for Backlash, and not only that, Bad Bunny's gonna host. So, I mean, Bad Bunny, Puerto Rico. Is he the most famous person on the island? I don't know. Logan Paul and Jake Paul both live there. I would imagine Logan's going to be heavily featured, but I want to get you guys' thoughts on this one. Let's start with you, Anthony. How do you feel about the Backlash show, Puerto Rico? I mean, it's obviously huge for cross promotion, but how do you feel about the whole thing? And do you think Bad Bunny was the right choice to host?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bad Bunny would be the right choice for this. I did not expect him to do a Puerto Rico show. I'm trying to remember the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view when Edge cashed in. Where was that? That wasn't in Puerto Rico, was it?
That may have actually been in Puerto Rico.
That's what I was about to look that up. I think that might have been there, but I could be barely misremembering that if somebody wants.
Don't worry, I'm checking it.
Yeah, I was going to look before Clark called me. No, I think it's a smart move. I mean, he's been tied to WWE. I mean, he's in 2K23 as the pre-order bonus. It makes sense. And I think they could probably do something with it. I definitely agree with you. I think Logan Paul will definitely be featured, possibly his brother. I mean, we've seen him at least once at Castle make an appearance. So I think, I definitely see them. I could see them doing something like that. I think it's a good move. I mean, I know they got complaints when they, at least from some people, when Bad Bunny first appeared, I don't see the cross promotion. And I'm like, considering the person who was complaining is significantly older than the demographic that Bad Bunny appeals to. And then I was seeing Bad Bunny at, I think it was the Grammys and Saturday Night Live. He's literally there with the 24/7 title. Like that's free advertisement for them.
Saturday Night Live as well.
Saturday Night Live, and I believe the Grammys, I think was the other. He appeared at the award show too. But I'm like, I'm seeing him all over the place, and he was winning awards, and I'm going, yeah, I think they know more about this crossover promotion stuff than you do.
I think he was also one of the top 5 streamed artists on Spotify as well, which is a hell of a thing to achieve. I did just check. So New Year's resolution in 2005 was from Puerto Rico.
Okay, so I was right. That was the Edge cash-in.
Great. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Great call, Anthony, too, by the way. So. Yes. Wait, no. The first cash-in was not New Year's Revolution. That one was at the first cash-in was at not New Year's Revolution. The pay-per-view you're thinking of was when Orton lost the title to Triple H in the chamber when Triple H was handed the sledgehammer through the cage. That is that Puerto Rico show.
Yeah, Edge cashed in at Revolution. I remember the set.
Was it the same one?
I believe.
Can you look at the card for us here, Soul?
So 2005 one was Triple H in the chamber.
Yeah, it was Triple H
in the chamber. So it had to be 2000. It had to be the 2006 one then.
So
It was 2006, and that was in New York. So it wasn't that event, just not that year.
We're all right.
Yeah.
On this one.
Weird
By the way, for a history, it took us a second to get there, but we just covered your 05-06 New Year's resolution history.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
or if you've not seen the show, we spoiled it for you then. I'm sorry.
Exactly. That's what we asked for anyway. And I thought it was kind of funny though, because I didn't think of the Puerto Rico thing, but then as soon as you said it, I remembered the Triple H Orton thing. It was kind of funny. We were on like the same way, all three of us on the same wavelength there. So
I knew one of those events took place there. I just couldn't remember if it was the first one or the second one.
Definitely. And I think personally, Bad Bunny, great call to host. Soul, I'm sure you agree. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm absolutely fine with it. The man is list his accolades there, and he's very popular. I mean, he sold out arenas like mad, and people love this guy. So yeah. Anyone else could have hosted this? No, I think it was Bad Bunny is the only real option here, and going also well, doing this whole worldwide thing as well. I mean, they're going to do here for Backlash, then they've got Money in the Bank here in London. So I mean, this is a worldwide tour here of WWE in 2023, which is great for the fans who don't want to stay up until 1 or 3 in the morning, or even have to travel for these shows. So hey, I'm all for it. It's my favorite thing about it.
It definitely feels as global as it has since pre-pandemic. I really like what you said there. That's a really good point too, especially with Money in the Bank being in the UK too. And go right ahead, Anthony. But
and the thing is, like Puerto Rico, I don't really think WWE hosts many shows there. I mean, this may be the first one since that Revolution pay-per-view. I mean, I know the Puerto Rico scene has their own stuff, but like I don't think WWE goes there very often.
Yeah, I do not think so either. I mean, outside of a few maybe house shows when I was growing up.
Yeah, but even then, I think it's few and far between.
Yeah, it's not much. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, Bruiser Brody, I believe, was Puerto Rico too. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. I know that wasn't WWE or WWF.
I think it was Carlos Colon's promotion.
Yeah, that was Carlos Colon.
WWE would send
was in Puerto Rico.
WWE would send people to his promotion to do stuff like Carlito and stuff like that.
It's definitely been a spot that you would assume the fan base is huge too, given the history of professional wrestling on the island. Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense to go back there. I just really hope they do a great job with Backlash. But I guess not really even moving along, but along the lines of the same subject. WWE and Nick Khan's global expansion. Soul, you kind of brought it up earlier, but they're going everywhere. I don't know the entire plan. I think it's kind of interesting that Nick Khan's global expansion and WWE's global expansion coincides with cutting NXT UK and not really doing anything with the WWE India stuff. We had our tribute to the troops stuff. Now, as far as where the main roster is touring, I think there's no doubt that the plan is making sense, because look at the way that Money in the Bank sold out so quickly. I would imagine Backlash is going to sell out in a heartbeat. And Mania as well. That's LA, but at the same time, I think that's part of it. Do you guys have any thoughts on, like, as far as them reaching across the globe? My broader question, I would almost want to, not to tweak the subject, but, one of the biggest markets for pro wrestling in the world is Japan. And ironically, it's one of the few places you really can't watch WWE programming without really going out of your way. And I want to get you guys' broader thoughts on the global expansion for WWE as a whole, and then maybe what other markets they need to and can hit. I'll start with you, Soul, because we started with Anthony last time, and then we'll go to Anthony.
I mean, if you look at this year already, they've got, as we said, Backlash Puerto Rico, King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi, and then London with Money in the Bank. So I could easily see them doing maybe, I mean, if you think about what pay-per-view to do worldwide would also be, the thing about, like, with Backlash, it's like, oh, it's the kill off of WrestleMania. That's its sort of stick. King and Queen of the Ring, that's the King and the Queen of the Ring tournament's its own stick. Money in the Bank is its own stick. So what kind of other stick pay-per-view would be ideal for a worldwide thing? And I'm thinking, honestly, Survivor Series, War Games, because everyone's going to tune in for that. Everyone loves a War Games match. And it would be a very big statement for wherever you do that. And the two markets I think they should go for is, as you mentioned, Clark, Japan, but number one I think is Mexico.
Ooh,
I think going there would also be a very big statement of there. And they've got many great talent from there, you know, Santos Escobar, and they've got Ray and Dominic, and then many others as well. So I feel like that'd be a good market to tap into. For Japan as well, you know, they've done stuff with Noah. I don't know the exact arena that Noah's held in, but that maybe they can get that from Noah, or they've got contacts there. And Mexico as well, they probably do it anywhere. I mean, AAA, wherever they hold their interesting events, could probably lend out to them. I mean, heck, Dragon Lee's also just in NXT, like last night at Roblox. So they're building relationships everywhere. And I feel like Nick Khan has went in there and thought, this is a very, you know, American company that really only stays in its own sort of lane. Let's try and branch out into the other lanes and make our name elsewhere. I mean, hey, he's done well for himself.
And even to further your point about war games, traveling with that size cage and 2 rings is much more possible in Mexico than I would say Japan. Bringing that cage overseas or having it built overseas, 2 rings overseas is tougher. It's not exactly domestic, but you can drive to Mexico City. You can drive to Baja, you know, depending on where they hold the event. And that is not a bad idea. War games in Mexico City, I think, could be pretty electric. Those crowds are on another level. Anthony, do you have any other ideas about that as far as global expansion?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the cages and the rings, because that's where my head went, was financially that may be a hindrance for them to even attempt to do that. The other thing is like Japan or Mexico. I mean, obviously WWE has done shows there. But again, those are also territories that are very big with their own promotions. Like New Japan's very big there. And like you said, it's hard for them to watch WWE TV. So there may be some hesitation on their part of going, okay, we've done shows here and there. But again, that audience is different. That audience is used to the New Japan style. Mexico, obviously, there would be some concerns, you know, with safety, because there have been issues in different parts of Mexico. So I don't know. I think they would mainly try to focus on Europe. I could see them doing like different shows in Europe because there's obviously a hardcore audience there that doesn't get WWE live very often. So, you know, WrestleMania is such a global event. People come from all over the world to go see it. So it does make sense that like if crowds are a little lower because people are used to seeing WWE hit their town, you know, 2-3 times a year or quarterly, depending upon the size of the market. If it's a little slower there, okay, well, what if we go over there where they don't get us very often and we could draw a lot more money? I think that's why they're doing it. I think it's they realize it's an untapped market for them. Other than TV, we can go there and make a killing. We're only going there for 2 weeks, whatever it is, for promotional purposes, but we're walking away with this much money. Like, it makes sense, and it's a global brand. They've been building a global brand, you know, since Vince started this thing, from a regional promotion to national. So it makes sense to go international, and it's easier than ever for them to do that with the streaming and everything else. So it does make complete sense that they would want to do that. Plus, you know, if the company is for sale, that's a hell of an incentive that you have that global footprint.
No doubt. And I hear where you're coming from. The only thing I would touch on is I will say Mexico City's kind of booming right now, and safety wise, it's pretty good.
No, I would
leave. Yeah, definitely. Like I wouldn't
That's
be
what I
headed
meant.
I wouldn't be headed to Sinaloa. Wouldn't be headed to
no, that's what I mean.
You know, but I do believe Mexico City I think would be an excellent choice. But I agree totally with what you're talking about, especially with Europe. You see these UK crowds, you see the crowds. I can't imagine an Imperium in Eastern Europe, in Germany, or in countries like that. The pops you get for different talents too, because it is a global brand, as you've said. But there's a difference between going there and not.
You know what I would have loved to have seen? And I said this to somebody, I don't even know if it's even possible. But if they did a Rumble or a King of the Ring in Italy in like an old Coliseum, how cool visually would that look?
Very cool.
that kind of looked like the stage they did. Was that the one where Batista and Cena hit the ring at the same time, where it was like the grand opening door?
Something like that. With the
Yes.
That's what really got my idea when I first saw like the pillars. I'm going, and they even teased it with like a video. I think it was the McMahon's wearing togas or something like that. I'm like, that would look actually really cool if they were able to do like a Rumble or a King of the Ring in like a Coliseum. Like, I don't know if that's even doable, but visually, I think that would be totally different and actually be kind of cool to watch.
I mean, my mind's thinking of this is completely impractical, but we've got all the old abandoned castles up here in Scotland, and they could have someone come out of the castle. I mean, it'd be outside in the rain, but it'd be cool as shit.
Stirling Castle. Let's go to Stirling. Let's do it. Why not? I'm with you on that. For sure. And yeah, I think that for wrestling period, it's a good thing to expand like that. And you know, I mean, that's something I'm looking forward to myself for sure. But let's move along to the next topic, boys. I think we've sufficiently covered global expansion as well as Puerto Rico, which, I mean, for me personally, I'm just kind of a wrestling fan. Topic's slightly above my head. No, I'm kidding. But let's get into something we definitely know about, like AEW Dynamite tonight, as well as the fallout from Revolution. I know Soul's got comments. I know Anthony's got comments on this. If we're going to break it down, let's start from the beginning here. Let's go with, is it too early for Wardlow Hobbs? And let's start with Anthony.
I mean, that's the problem with this. They already told us it's happening this week. Like, I think this is something that they could have built up towards, because I don't know where you go with this. If Hobbs wins, you've now hot potatoed the title again. Like, it was weird to begin with, where it was like they changed hands multiple times over a series of 2-3 months, whatever it was. And now you're going to change it again after he just beat Joe for it. And if Wardlow goes over, I don't know what you do with Hobbs. Like, I don't know if that hurts Hobbs too much. I think that was a match that I think you could have built towards, and then whether it be All Out or something like that, that's when it collides. Like, I think this was kind of a mistake, unless they have somebody interfering with this, which, you know, breaks Hobbs off or something. Maybe somebody goes after Hobbs or somebody goes after Wardlow to split this. I don't know what you do with this. I think they have a problem here with this, honestly.
I agree with a lot of that. So how do you feel, man?
You know, I mean, it's like what I said on the Instagram as well. I feel like both men deserve to win this title, but each one has its own negative connotations to losing. So something I was thinking of, why not let this match go to a time limit draw? You know, let it go for the draw, show that both men can hang with each other, but they just need more time, and then maybe break off for a bit and come back down the road. Like, hey, we had the draw for the title at the beginning of your reign. I'm going to end it. Let's go for, you know, maybe a no time limit match or something like that. Or maybe, you know, we just had the Iron Man match. Probably not that. But something like that, you know, that kind of shows that it's a good starting point, showing that they can go, but given more time and not the limitations of television and maybe the limitations of a pay-per-view, they can, you know, get a result from this. So I'd be fine with a time limit draw for this, but as well, Samoa Joe coming back and interfering on Wardlow, costing him, might be okay, or just causing a DQ. But I mean, everyone who's won the Face for the Revolution ladder match has failed their cash-in, pretty much. You know, even Page failed it, Wardlow failed it. Is Hobbs going to repeat the same process? I guess we'll find out tonight.
It's a good point. And although I will say, I believe Sky did cash in the brass ring and win the title.
Yeah,
He's the only one. Did he fail? I thought he won the TNT belt.
He did win it, but I don't remember.
Did he not win it?
He never won the Face of the Revolution ladder match, did he?
Yeah.
I think Sky had the Sonic the Hedgehog ring.
That's how he won the. I think that's how he won the TNT title. I think he's the only one. Actually, Soul is the answer. Honestly, like, I think you're right to your point. The only thing I would add to that is just, I think, well, I love your call about time limit draw. I think it needs to be not like a DQ muddy one. I think it needs to be like a slugfest that we want to see the finish of and can't because of a time limit thing, that would be outstanding. I dig that because I do think, to Anthony's point earlier, I think it's too early for Hobbs. So if anyone wins clean, it just makes the other one look too less than. And that's not enough for me with either of these guys.
Soul was right. Sky did win the Revolution ladder match. However, he lost to Darby Allin.
He lost to Darby, but he did win it later.
No, I'm sure he doesn't.
I would assume he won it once.
No, Sky won the TNT title later.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
that's all I was saying. His cash-in fade.
Yeah.
But he did win the TNT title. That's where I was confused.
Yeah, the custom belt and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot he had the Lakers belt.
Yeah.
I should. Geez, Southern California guy, you should know that. Whoops. Anyway, no, but okay. So we're all on the same page now, and
yes.
And I think, I actually really like Soul's idea on time limit draw. That's not a bad call at all.
The only problem I would have with that is wouldn't people be demanding the rematch right away with a time limit draw? That's my only concern with that. I can't imagine it would be a time limit draw and everybody was going, "Nah, we're good." Like it's you know what I mean? That's my only issue.
I mean, Kenny and Brian went to time limit draw.
It's hard to rebuild to it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I wonder if maybe then you have Hobbs rob Wardlow, somehow cheat to win.
So maybe that's breaking his car last night and steal.
Yeah, but if you put that belt on Hobbs better hold it for a while because it's ridiculous now. You've now changed champions how many times?
I agree. I know we're in a tough spot.
Are we in 3 changes in the year already so far?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see. Wardlow to Joe, right?
Yeah.
Joe to Darby, back to Joe, now to Wardlow.
Yeah.
So that's 4. This would be the 5th.
Quite a few. I mean, you had the same thing too with Sammy, Sky, Cody, everybody in that little reign. It's interesting how much that title's changed hands comparatively to the rest of the roster. But let's move on to the next match. It's Ruby Soho and Sky Blue. I'm confused. I don't know. Sky Blue, is she just going to get beat every week? She looks great in the ring. And I feel bad for Sky Blue. I like the Ruby turn. I think it was cool. But I don't know where we go from here. Let's start with you, Anthony. Then we'll go to Soul.
I mean, it's nice that they're out of catering. But just as a whole, is this not just a squash match for Ruby? Like, I don't really get that. Does anybody expect Sky to win this? Really?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't.
That's the worst part.
I mean, my issue with the Ruby turn was I wasn't so much I had a problem with the turn. I had a problem when she turned. It was very weird. Okay, now I lost down with them. Like, it was. But I'm not going into that because I know we went over this Monday for the review. But just in general, like, I got to be honest, I'm not that interested in that match.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from on that too. Soul, do you have any extra interest in this one or anything special for us?
I mean, I love AEW and all that, and I sing its praises to the high end. But honestly, when I saw this match being announced, I was like, "Oh, that's Rampage. All right, cool." Then I saw Dynamite. I was like, all right, okay, bit of an interesting one here. I mean, this match's main purpose is to build up Ruby Soho. Sky, I don't think she's even all elite. She even signed, or is she? I think you would think she was signed.
Technically, she is signed.
Is she? Right. Because I never saw her getting all elite graphic, and I was always wondering in my head, like, is she all elite or is she whatever?
Maybe paid for appearance. Might be that too.
Probably that. I mean, more than likely, this will be like the co-main event before the Wardlow and Hobbs one. It'll probably go 5 minutes. You know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. I got nothing else to say.
I'll say this in defense of Sky Blue. So both of the all outs I've gone to, I went to the Rampage the Friday before, and they taped Dark and Elevation that same night. Both times Sky Blue wrestled, and both times, both me and my mom, who I was sitting with, were like, she's got something. Entrance is good. Crowd work is good. Pacing is good. Bell to bell is good. Look is really good. And it's weird that she's being used so young as the other end on these matches the last few weeks that she has to lose to veterans, put over veterans. I get that. But at the same time, Sky Blue's talented. She's good. She is good. She's got a really good look, and she's got staying power. I know we just had the Is She All Elite discussion, but to be on the All Elite weekend or the All Out weekend dark card both years in a row says something about a 22-year-old.
Remember Tony made the whole adjustments just to put her in the casino battle royale for All Out 2021 for her because she was getting such a good reaction.
That's right.
I like Sky Blue as well. I think she is great. I mean, I liked what she did with Madison Rayne on Ring of Honor last week. The women division is very interesting. I do love it, but there's some times where you're back against the wall and you're basically defending thin air at this point.
I'm gonna say this too. I think it's hurting as a fellow AEW fan. Not that we're not all fans of all wrestling, but Jade Cargill conspicuous by her absence. We need Jade back. She is the fireball in the lightning, or the lightning bolt and the fireball in the women's division. She may not be carrying the world championship, but to me, she's the most dominant force in the division. I almost value the TBS. It's interesting. Back in the day, Cody talked about all titles should be equal value. So he didn't care about now I get it, whatever. Part of that was storyline.
I never bought that, but yeah.
But he did say that about the TNT belt.
No, I know.
In an odd way, Jade Cargill's proven that. I view the TBS belt.
Jade's the longest reigning champion in that company right now.
As the true, and her work is outstanding. On the microphone, it's outstanding. She gets better in the ring every single time.
I like Jade as well.
And the look is off the charts. Jade being gone, it's been like a month. We need some more Jade. We need a Jade story, and we need a Jade rivalry, I think, to reinvigorate the women's division, like we've been talking about Soul, right? Anthony too.
I think what they should do with Jade is two things. Because obviously they're waiting for Chris to come back. And I know Tony likes his set plans and doesn't like to deviate from them, but sometimes you've got to course correct.
You have to. Yeah, at times.
Well, for Jade, there's two options I'm thinking of. One is put her in a feud with Saraya, who's a veteran, and at least that's something, and make it a bit long term. The other one is have Britt Baker take the title off her. Because why keep waiting for Chris when you've got basically the other most popular women on that roster?
You can turn Britt baby.
They are baby faces. They've said it in interviews, and it's been said once. And Rebel's not with them anymore.
Here's the thing, though, Soul.
Right.
When you have long reigns like this, it should make somebody who, if they win the title, Britt's already been a champion. She's already been the women's champion there. Like, I really think it should be somebody that hasn't won a title or hasn't gotten to that next level. If you have a long reign, it makes sense. If you're just going to give it to a veteran, I don't think
WWE are doing that. I mean, WWE are doing that with Roman. They're giving it to Cody.
So they're not. Cody's never been WWE champion, though. He's never been a world champion there.
He's been Ring of Honor champion. He's been the TNT champion 3 times.
In all fairness, Soul, the Ring of Honor title is not the equivalent to the WWE championship.
That's true.
It's not.
And
he was NWA champion. That has history too, but I still wouldn't put it on par with the WWE championship. Same thing with the TNT. There's no title that is more important in wrestling than WWE championship. It's the top title in the most important company, the most profitable company in the business, the biggest company. Why would that not be the most prestigious one in the business?
I don't know. I mean, the 24/7 was pretty prestigious. I got a lot of screen time.
We're going back to Bad Bunny, are we?
Well, I will say this. There's no doubt that the WWE title is the crown jewel. If you're the AEW champion, you need to treat that as such.
Yes.
It's a little bit like the WBO and the WBC and WBA and the IBF in boxing. You need to treat the one you have as the best one. But at the end of the day, the WWE title, whether it's the Universal Undisputed version, whether it's Big Gold or Winged Eagle, is probably the crown jewel. Not to give the Saudi branding name, but it's probably the crown jewel of belts in the wrestling industry, I would say.
It's got the history behind it.
but let's move on to the next match because we got a few more to cover, and
Okay.
Us three can talk for ages, and so we're working on time here too. But we got a trios match. We got a trios match, guys. Let's focus on trios action. We got AR Fox and Top Flight, Athlete City, the mayors of athleticism, essentially, against Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Sammy Guevara. So it's basically Jericho and his two kids that he's pretty much been mentoring since they've been in the JAS. I'm actually really excited about what this match looks like bell to bell. I'm not necessarily excited about what it does anything else as far as stories are concerned, but AR Fox and Top Flight, every time they're in trios action, they just make sense in the trios division. And with the trios division being a little bit more open now that House of Black is carrying the titles and not the Elite, I don't see why they can't put over AR Fox and Top Flight tonight, because they'd be really fun to see chase House of Black. Even if they don't quite get over the hump, it's a great opportunity, I think, for them. That would be my pick in this match. Do you guys have thoughts? We'll start with Soul. We started with Anthony last time. How are you feeling, Soul, about this?
So I'm going to pick this match and use my almighty wisdom here. I think the match will go great. Give it a wee bit of time, maybe a good 15, maybe 10 minutes, and have someone from the other team, maybe AR or Dante, pin Jericho, right? So Jericho gets pinned and costs it for the team, right? And you see Sammy and Daniel Garcia just look down at Jericho, and they're just like, Jericho maybe reaches up, and they reluctantly help him up. And then maybe later on in the night, we get a backstage segment of like Daniel Garcia and Sammy have talked with Hager and Ty J, and they're like, and even Angelo Parker and Daddy Magic are like, hey, we want to have a town hall meeting for the JAS on Rampage. And we get to Rampage, and we basically find out that the JAS have lost their appreciation for Jericho, and they kick him out, and they all hit their finishers on him. Jericho's laid out. Jericho then goes on his Fozzy tour, doesn't come back until Double or Nothing, and he has his match. Like, if you want, you can have a gauntlet match through the whole former JAS with Jericho, and he faces Sammy or Daniel at Double or Nothing. But I just think maybe it's time to end the JAS, because I feel like it makes sense in a storyline perspective as well. I mean, you've seen you're a guy you're appreciating being beat twice, by Ricky, and then on a big stage of pay-per-view, why not stop appreciating him and go your own way? So that's how I think it should go. I hope it goes that way.
That makes a ton of sense. Anthony, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I think Jericho should be putting over AR Fox and Top Flight. I don't know how well the chemistry is going to be. I mean, Jericho's, for his age, he gets along fine, but I don't think he can match high flying with them. Daniel Garcia, I've been on record saying I think he's good technically. I don't think he has any charisma at all. And Sammy, I think, he's a high flyer, but I think he just does stuff for the sake that he can do it. But I really think AR Fox and Top Flight should win this. Should. Don't know if they will.
I hear you. I actually disagree on the Daniel Garcia thing. I actually think he does have charisma. I think he's got that kind of New York City, like I'm a stone cold killer type charisma, where he hasn't been booked as such with the hat gimmick and all of that stuff. But I mean, I do think he has a little bit of that New York City. I'm an ass kicker and I know it in him. And I do think there's more charisma there that's been untapped. I would say by comparison to Theory.
Yeah, I think he's my Theory to your. Yeah, I think that's that.
I see more in Garcia than I do Theory,
and I'm the opposite with that. But
yeah, just especially because I do think Garcia can talk, whereas I don't see it with Theory. But I also didn't watch Evolve. In full disclosure, did not watch Evolve. But at the end of the day, we are all on the same page as far as Top Flight and AR Fox need to go over. Let's move along to the next one. It's a good one. It's another good one. In fact, we got Moxley and then the ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, FKA Cesaro against Silver and Reynolds, classic Dark Order team. I find this one fascinating because I wonder if this is our last goodbye to Silver and Reynolds teaming together as a part of like the Dark Order, kind of. I wonder if this is kind of like a little like, let's put them on Dynamite one more time, because it just seems with Hangman being separate. Colt Cabana's gone away. Uno had his moment. Preston Vance is gone. It just seems like it's maybe, I don't know. This might be like a nostalgia booking. I don't know. Who went first last time? I believe Soul. Let's go Anthony first.
Yeah.
And then let's go Soul.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways, this is a lot like the Ruby Soho match that we were talking about earlier. We know Mox and Claudio are winning this. Going into it, I agree with you, Clark. This could be their swan song. I don't know if it's their swan song out of Tony Khan universe or just out of AEW. Maybe they put them and Uno and Colt in Ring of Honor. Maybe they slide them over there because obviously, the Dark Order is kind of a joke at this point. It's not the group that Brody was leading before his passing. It's kind of become the oddities of AEW. So I could easily see them washing them out and whether putting them in Ring of Honor or maybe this is their swan song. I mean, first time I saw Silver and Alex Reynolds was at Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore years before AEW. So it is nice to see them on TV again, but I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be a one that sticks.
How are you feeling so about this one? I know you're a huge Dark Order fan too, and I wasn't trying to like put a damper on this.
Nah, I mean, no, Dark Order is very special to me. For me, obviously I go into wrestling 2019, as I always say, and pandemic era, watching Dark Order form and do their thing was very connective to me. People always say my favorite faction of groups is Evolution or DX or even Legacy if you're kind of a crazy guy. But for me, it is Dark Order. I love Dark Order. I even love like Alan Angels, who I've had on the show, and that was an absolute blast to have him interview and talk about all that stuff I've seen. And Stu and Vance and Anna Jay and Uno and Silver and Reynolds. I love those guys and girls. They're awesome. I love the whole BTE thing, and they really made it special for me. To see the group wither away with Colt going wherever he is, Anna Jay and just going over to JAS, which I was really shocked by. I really did not see that coming. Vance turning heel, I actually liked. I thought it was a good character change for him. And then Stu and Alan being let go by the company. It's a shame. It's like seeing those high school friends of yours and like, we're going to stay together forever. And then you just drift apart and it's just the three hardcores sitting in the pub drinking and remembering the good times. And it's a shame. I will always love the Dark Order. People say to me, what's your favorite faction? I'm just going to say Dark Order. I don't care what anyone says. Love the whole Full Gear thing with Hangman. I loved all that. Do I feel like this is the end of Dark Order? Are they all going to just split and then have a reunion tour later? I don't think so. I mean, I really wanted them to have a good feud with LFI over Vance turning, away and throwing his mask at little Brody Jr. I mean, I kind of really wanted that, and I still want that. Moving them to Ring of Honor might be a good option because, I mean, the trios section in AEW now with House of Black being champions is going to be stacked and very competitive. So, I mean, would it be a good feud against the Embassy in Ring of Honor? It might be. I mean, they might be able to have more time to speak and show what they have. And I know these guys can be funny and connective. I've seen it on BTE, and they just need the time, and they will connect with the crowd again. So maybe Ring of Honor might be a good move for the Dark Order to go there. I just want more Dark Order on my screen. I love them. I love those guys.
I hear where you're coming from too, and I will also say one thing you said in the beginning. If you are a Legacy fan and that'd be your pick for favorite faction of all time, you're absolutely crazy. You were spot on with that take. There's no doubt you're out of your mind. That'd be a ridiculous thing to say out loud.
Although the Union is worse.
They're all bad or whatever. League of Nations. I mean, there's plenty of bad.
Do you remember the Union?
Barely. The 3-man band too was bad. What was the Union? Who was in the Union?
Shamrock, Test, Vince.
Oh, yes.
Was it Big Show and Mankind?
Well, I mean, TNA was classic too. Test and Albert. I mean, that's ridiculous with Trish, technically, yes. Goodness gracious. But I hear where you're coming from, Soul, too. I actually think Ring of Honor might be, rejuvenation for the Dark Order. Maybe a new name. I'm not saying that they ditch it completely. like they still have some Dark Order tendencies, but maybe a different leader and like a slightly different name, slight rebrand. Just get away from the legacy. It feels a little bit now like charity sometimes, which is, I think, is unfair to the talent because they're more talented than that. But you can't help but think Brody Lee. You can't help but think -1. You can't help but think the good old days. You can't help but think all of that stuff. And while that's a hard decision to make, it might finally kind of be time to just put it on the back burner, because as we know, -1's coming when he turns 18. I don't know when that is, but the real Exalted One, the new Exalted One, he's in the pipeline. Youngest son, people talk about Nick Wayne. Don't you forget about Brody Jr.
Yeah, people still complain about AEW's storytelling. I can't wait for that in 12 years when we get Preston Vance versus -1 at Double or Nothing.
No doubt. But we've only got a few minutes left, so let's move on to the main event. Although this one feels equally predictable. As much as I love AEW, it's all Atlantic Championship action. Cassidy defends against Jay Lethal. Orange Cassidy, that is. Anybody got a real hot take on this one? I'm not even going to go to single cameras.
I'll say I wish this was Jarrett instead.
Be interesting. I actually kind of agree with you there.
I honestly would have loved if this was Jarrett and Jarrett did pull off the win and get the All Atlantic title. Because think about how much that opens for baby faces to conquer him, and everyone's going to hate Jarrett. Jarrett could come out, string his guitar, and just be old dickish as he is. And I love Jarrett. I think Jarrett gets too much hate. I mean, think about who could easily take it off Jeff Jarrett. I mean, if Powerhouse Hobbs loses the TNT title shot, you could go for that. You could have maybe Matt Hardy go for it. You could have Dante go for AR Fox. You've got options here. You have options, and
I think you got to keep it on Orange.
I think Lethal might actually be the smart choice. I think Lethal might actually be the smart choice there. I mean, Jarrett can interfere. I mean, I think you have more options with a heel Lethal as a champion to build up that title more than Orange can. I'll be honest. There's not much there. I never understood why Orange beat Pac in the first place.
I don't think you can take it off Orange. I totally disagree.
Ever?
No, not ever, but I mean, right now, I like the backpack. I like it's Orange. Let him work on TV. I like that he's in the main event. I hope it's a banger of a match. I know Orange is capable of a banger of a match. I know you're not a fan of the Sweet Shin music. I actually do dig it. Personally, I think it's hilarious. And what he can do with his hands in his pockets is video game like. It's like a stuntman. It's something you would see in a movie that would likely be digitalized. Being able to just put your hands in your pockets and operate the way he can, hitting the ropes, hitting drop kicks, bumping with his hands in his pockets and doing that stuff. Now, the character is goofy and it's mockery-ish. Anthony, very much understand is where a lot of it comes from.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. He's holding a title that's supposed to mean something. And I think that hurts the title as a whole if the champion's not serious.
See, I think personally, he's established himself enough as, well, he's the guy. He's the guy.
You either love him or you hate him. I don't really think that's where you fall.
No,
where he got me was during the Jericho feud. He convinced me he's the guy. You go like, well, he's just a slacker. He's not in it, whatever. But if you mess with him, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute.
I mean,
I didn't know he was capable of that.
Yeah, I fell in love with Orange Cassidy with his feud with Miro and Kip Sabian. That's when I really loved the guy.
I thought that one was very well done. Even honestly, when he did the old school reference in the debate with Jericho is so funny. That was one of the most classic during the pandemic AEW segments I've ever seen. When he did it was about the rising tides in the ocean. He did the whole monologue on like the rising tides.
But I actually will give Anthony some props. I think maybe Lethal should win it tonight.
It's not a bad call. I still think Orange has got to retain, but in a big performance, hopefully, maybe flipping Anthony. Maybe Orange puts on a banger. I doubt it, but you never know. You never know. Hey, a kid can hope. Either way, we're up against time, guys. It was a blast as usual. Tomorrow, we'll be back. I'll be back as the host. Anthony, you'll be here. Throwback Thursday. Friday, Soul, you're in, right?
Maybe we'll see how we go. Might need a few more apples to make me more cool.
No worries. We need the apples to keep you cool. Tune into the Soul Sessions. Tune into Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast. All of our other stuff on the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, all of those things. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Yeah, tomorrow is a different time, I believe, 3:00 Pacific. Or no, wait, what time are we doing, Anthony, tomorrow? 2 or 3?
I don't think we figured that out. I can
5
do
or
earlier.
6 for
we'll
you.
figure it out.
We'll figure it out after the fact, and then we'll let you know about that on the flip side, which is also where we'll see you guys. Have a good one. Thanks so much.